The Politics podcast brought to you as always by TakePoliticsSeriously.com. That's where you can take politics serious. Everybody else out here clowning around. We're the only one taking it seriously. God damn it. Why don't you take... It's your democracy. Your freedoms. Why don't you take it seriously? TakePoliticsSeriously.com. Hey, a couple other things to talk about. Number one, if you're in the Bay Area, come on out. Election night. You know when it is. Don't worry. There'll be plenty of warning. San Francisco at 7 p.m., I am going to be at the Piano Fight Theater in the Tenderloin. And we are going to watch. I probably shouldn't say that part. We are going to watch or have the returns come in. We're not going to watch. It's not a watch party. I'm going to do a show. I'm going to go over the best midterm ads. We're going to talk about the best midterm storylines. We're going to actually have the ends of the stories live flowing in. We'll have our own decision desk there. It's going to be a blast and a half, and you can only get tickets by going to bit.ly/wavewatch. San Francisco, Oakland, South Bay, North Bay, Sacktown. Come on out. It's going to be a blast, and, you know, it's at 7 o'clock. You're going to be able to get there after work. You're going to be able to get home in a decent hour. Oh, my God. Going to be a blast. Also, remember, freepoliticalnewsletter.com. Sign up for it. 5 stories a day, mostly gifts, a few hot takes. But until... I fucked up. I'm doing the ending plugs now. Hey, what do you say we stop talking about how we support the show? What do you say we just... Welcome, friends. It's your pal, Justin Robert Young. We are getting things rolling here on the Politics show. Now, it's funny because it was I don't know if I'm going to name drop. I don't know what kind of name drop it is, but it's in Austin over the weekend. I got a chance to meet somebody whose work I am a fan of. Well, I don't know if this betrays that he's working. There's somebody I know, or I met for the first time, whose work I'm a fan of, who's starting a podcast. And so I was talking to him about just what happens with podcasts. And he's looking to do a daily show or something, multiple times a week. And I explained to him, because he had largely done video stuff before. Video stuff, you can be very, very careful. Video stuff, you can wait until it's perfect. Video stuff can be irregular. It is, probably best practices you have it out at the same amount at the same time. But it's, you can just walk up to it and enjoy it. Podcasting's a little bit different because it is literally the most personal of all mediums in the same way that radio was. It almost might be more personal because, by and large, from the Nomenclature podcast, you are listening via earbuds. We are literally voices in your head. So when you are doing a show, there are a few things, I think, physiologically that are different. A podcast, that is. And... if you go to YouTube and your favorite YouTube thing isn't there, then it's not that big of a deal. YouTube's meant so you can fill your YouTube time one way or another, whether or not it's exactly what you want. Same with a blog. Podcasting is different. If you don't have the podcast that you're used to listening to on your commute, either there or from your work, right? Or at the gym, or when you go on a walk, or when you do whatever you do. The very personal nature of podcasting, it is not like, oh, ho, hum, you missed a moment. It is like being stood up for on a date. There is a personal betrayal that comes along with not having your podcast delivered, at the very least on the day that somebody is used to listening to you. So, this is me telling you, I'm sorry I stood you up for our date, but let me explain, I had a bit of a flat tire and I couldn't make it. I couldn't get to a payphone. I'm sorry, would you like to go out today? Had some internet problems yesterday, but the good news is we didn't have a tremendous news day yesterday. So a lot of what we were going to talk about, we can still talk about today, which is including this. Man, Trump is, Trump's gonna Trump. Doesn't matter how you interpret it. Like, we're in a situation now where Donald Trump is trying to be crisis president. He is trying to be the leader that everybody can look at and say, well, you want to know what? Things will be fine because he tells me things are fine. Which, for a portion of the country that fucking hates him, that's never going to be the thing. But then again, like, that's not a shock, right? But he also apparently has, like, the patience of Frank Sinatra trying to shoot a movie. Famously, Frank Sinatra only liked to do one take of everything. If you can't get it in one take, it ain't worth getting. So that's what I was immediately reminded of when I watched this statement by the President of the United States about Hurricane Florence before he was about to go down and visit with folks.
Men and women who have done such a great job in helping with Florence. This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Now, here's, for those of you who are only listening, at this point in the video, they have gone to B-roll of some of the devastation of Florence. Before, it was him standing out in front of the White House. So, oftentimes in editing, when you go to B-roll, it's so you can splice two things together. I highly doubt that there was more than one take done of this. And I have no idea why somebody would say, oh, wait a minute. We got to get that. You remember that time when he said that it was the wettest from the standpoint of water? We got to get that in there.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Rarely have we had an experience like it, and it certainly is not good. But the people of North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, all of the areas affected, you've been incredible. There's been a loss of life, and may God be with them.
So here's the thing with Trump being crisis president. I believe this is him being this is him being business, I care about your family, right? This is him on the golf course. This is him, all of a sudden you find out that one business acquaintance's wife got diagnosed with cancer. This is, I can almost guarantee that he's probably going to say something like, that's terrible. This is one of the worst cancers from the standpoint of malignancy that we've ever seen. But you and your family have been just amazing, just fantastic. And then on the other hand, you have him during a briefing, which are largely perfunctory affairs, right? They are performative in nature. You don't really need the press pool there. They stage a big briefing and the press pool is there, and that way it demonstrates to the local press that the people that have boots on the ground have a control over everything. The president comes in and is like, now going to publicly say, if the people on the boots on the ground are like, hey, we need X more money, we need Y more people, we need, 1 billion more sandbags, then the president has a public forum to say, yes, we're going to get that to you no matter what. Here we go. It shows that everybody has their shit together, which in a crisis does mean something. It does, because people are a little on edge in a crisis, and even something that is fairly nakedly a performative act does mean something. So Trump, and I don't know whether this is partly him, because this is the same thing where he congratulated a guy on say like, oh, well, at least you're going to get a new boat when I think his boat was ruined or whatever. Again, this is Trump golf course dude. And like, you can very much think he's an out of touch goober, because I'm sure if you were to just take some of those conversations that they would feel a little out of touch goobery. But it's him trying to, in his own way, break the ice. That it's like, hey, look, you can't frown forever. Laughter's the best medicine. This is the kind of shit he likes to do. But during this public briefing, he asks what the situation on the ground is with Lake Charles. Guy says, well, there's a lot of flooding, but I think it's fine. And Trump says, well, I love that area. I love it. I can't tell you why, but I love it. Which, of course, leads everybody to go find out why he can't tell anybody why he loves it. And as it turns out, you guessed it, he's got a golf course there. He's got a Trump National Golf Course on Lake Charles in the Carolinas. And that's why he loves that area. But he doesn't want to say it out loud. It's almost like, when you want to, I don't know if he's still here, but my friend Anthony, who I grew up with, we used to have this thing where we would be talking about some stuff, and we're in high school, so sometimes that stuff can get a little grimy. And whenever we would say somebody's name, Anthony's mom, God bless her, has supersonic hearing. Like, she can hear anything, and she's a bit of a snoop. Like, there were many times that Anthony would get the sense that his mom was lurking behind a door, trying to eavesdrop on our conversation, and so he would go and just bang on the door really quick, just to make sure that she was scared off. But periodically we'd be talking about some stuff that, a mother would be worried about her high school son talking about. Like, oh my God, did you hear about Greg? Ah, dude, Greg's wild, man. Greg's got the best weed. Greg, I think Greg actually is dealing now. And of course, Anthony's mom, being a bit of a snoop with supersonic hearing, has heard about this shit forever, right? She's known Greg since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. So she would just pop in, like from around the corner. Whoa, you mean Greg Smith? And of course we did mean Greg Smith, the person that Anthony's mom has known since he was probably 5, because, everybody winds up going to school together in a suburban community. But we would have this little out, because we went to South Plantation High School, which in the 70s was split off from a overcrowded high school called Plantation. So in the same region, the same neighborhood, there were 2 schools. South Plantation, where we went, Plantation was the other one. And so whenever we would talk about Greg, any Greg, the titular Greg, in this story, the Greg story, we would go, no, Greg Smith? No. It's the Greg who went to Plantation. And so that's what I kind of feel like Trump did here. Or it's like very obvious everybody's going to know that he's talking about his golf course, but he's like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you why I love this. But let's just say I love it. On a scale from 1 to 10, I love it a 4. Golf jokes. But then you also get shit like this. This is, this is always one of those things that nobody wants to talk about when it's the other person's president, but when it's their president, that's all they want to talk about because, there's just no, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess it's just dehumanization of the other side, but nobody wants to admit that the other side, can be a human every once in a while. But this was Trump out there trying to console those that were affected by the hurricane. He goes out to the line here. This is New Bern, South Carolina, yesterday. The boy asks for a hug, and Trump gives him a hug, and everybody cheers. And it's like it's definitely it's a big grandpa hug. He puts his arms all the way out. It's not like a politician like, yeah. It's a hug. Look, he's gonna be the dude he is, which is kind of perfect because everybody wants to yell about him. We got more Trump. We're going to get to the thing you want to talk about. We're going to get to the thing. We're going to talk about the Mario Kart. First, though, let's talk about Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh, from the last time that we talked, had his seeming glide path to the Supreme Court interrupted fairly harshly. I don't know if we got to it last week, but Dianne Feinstein, she's my senator, I can never get it right, submitted to the FBI last week a report about Kavanaugh's character. What we found out at first from a Ronan Farrow article, and then eventually on Sunday from the woman's own mouth on the record, was that in high school, a woman who went to a neighboring high school, a girls' college, had an encounter with a teenage Brett Kavanaugh who was very drunk. Kavanaugh and a friend pulled the girl into a room. Kavanaugh tried to undress her. When she attempted to scream, he covered her mouth. And it was only after Kavanaugh's friend jumped on top of them twice that she was able to free herself from Kavanaugh's grip, run into the bathroom, close the door, at which point the teenage drunken louts moved along. So I said at the time, and for those of you, this is the reason why when you are on TakePoliticsSeriously.com and you pledge at $3, you get the bonus podcasts on Monday, on Monday and Friday. This was a good story for that because it broke Friday, and you got my immediate thoughts, and then on Monday, when things had kind of metastasized a little bit, you got the fuller thoughts. Here's my thought on Friday when this first broke was, there's not a lot that you can investigate about this. According to the initial report, which, by the way, the Democrats had since July, which brings into some questions, I think, even from the blue team side of things, why was this not a thing earlier? Because the one thing that I think would be the worst possible outcome for everybody was, or is to this day, remains, that a Supreme Court justice has a full-blown Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K., multiple people Me Too scandal erupt. Because that's it. In American society, there is no such thing as Supreme Court job security. That's it. That's it. If you're a CEO, you can get fired. If you're a politician, you can get arrested or removed from office. There are recall measures for Supreme Court justices, but man, are they dusty as hell. And the job, when you get it, is for life. So look, we're going to get to Anita Hill. We'll talk about Anita Hill. We'll talk about Clarence Thomas. I'm just saying that in general, you don't get a lot more secure in your job than the Supreme Court. Michael Bean Pena says Louis C.K. scandal was lumped in with the Weinsteins. I mean that specifically in that one person comes forward, then another person, then another person, then another person, then another person. So if this came out earlier, and there are other women out there that are like, oh my God, yeah, no, this dude did the same stuff to me, then that kills it dead. In fact, somebody could probably come out now and say Kavanaugh did this to me with fairly little scrutiny, and his entire Supreme Court nomination process would probably be jackknifed. That being said, so here's what happened since then. On Sunday, it was revealed that Dr. Ford, who is now was the Jane Doe in the initial complaint, is now public, said that she was going to testify in front of the Senate. And so it was set for next Monday. She has since rescinded that. She said that she does plan on testifying, but not until the FBI looks into her claims. Now, from my vantage point, this looks like an out for everybody. This looks, I think everybody kind of knows that if she's not willing to go in front of the Senate, then this is kind of over, and it's an exit door everybody can live with. She can say, I asked for the FBI to do something and they didn't. Democrats can say, why wasn't this looked into more by the FBI? Republicans can say, we want her to testify. She won't. There's going to be a vote. Kavanaugh will get confirmed. And that'll be that. The problem, unless her claim has been shored up since, by all last available information publicly, the challenge with her claim is that she doesn't know the year it happened. So forget doesn't know the exact date, doesn't know the year. So from an investigation standpoint, if she's the hinge that drives all of this, then sure, you can probably put together a simulacrum from her memories of what was and wasn't true at the time and narrow things down. But then beyond that, the 3 people that were in the room have spoken. She says this thing happened. He says that it did not. And the friend that jumped on them says it did not happen. But he said also he was not going to testify, which, interesting. And then meanwhile you have, I mean, look, here's the real talk on this. Man, am I, here's what I want y'all to do. I'm going to get serious about this for a second. I very much believe, and any of you who have listened to me for a long time know this to be a fact because I've talked about it for a very long time. There is a pervasive problem with sexual assault that happens to women that is gone unreported, that is corrosive to our society, and should be exposed. I have a tremendous tolerance for women coming forward and bringing up some dirt from the past. I am all for skeletons conga lining out of people's closet. But Hot Beverages has my point. I hate this. I hate that this is how we talk about sexual assault. And so do I. Because we are right now not talking about sexual assault. We are talking about an up and down vote for a Supreme Court nominee. And when you combine the two, none are served appropriately. No matter what, we can understand that taking sexual assault seriously is a very important issue that we need to focus on and that we have gotten better about markedly over the past 2 years. Confirming a Supreme Court justice is an element of our democracy. It's a sensitive, contentious issue that is inflamed by the fact that we are in a sensitive, contentious political time. Understanding that they both have a very important place in our society, to sew them together is to make a very complicated issue that I don't think serves either. Now, I'm not saying that they can't, not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying that it doesn't serve Dr. Ford right. Because now the only way that she can discuss her sexual assault in any way that people want to hear it is in a fucking circus tent on Capitol Hill. It doesn't serve the process right because now, we have to fold in something that I think, again, sexual assault is something that I don't think needs, you don't need to have a notary present to prove that a sexual assault happened. But at the same time, how do we handle it? And let me ask you this. Take the politics out of it for a second. Let's make it about Elena Kagan. Let's make it about Sotomayor. Let's make it about a liberal appointment to the court. If exactly this happened at exactly this moment, with exactly this level of stuff around it, with exactly this same kind of party makeup involved in not only the Judicial Committee, but also the Senate, how do we handle it? How do you handle it? I think it's really fucking complicated. And I don't think I am totally with Hot Beverages here. I hate that this is that this has to be a referendum on sexual assault. Because I don't think it is a fair referendum on how we are talking about sexual assault or how we're taking sexual assault claims seriously. I do think that this is done. Unless Dr. Ford testifies. And let me be fair to her claim as well. She has, and she provided to the Washington Post in 2012, when speaking with a therapist, she described the incident as it was reported. Really, the only discrepancy was that in her therapist notes initially, the therapist had written down that there were 4 people in the room. She says that was a mistake on the therapist's part. So this is a zero-sum situation. Either Kavanaugh gets confirmed or doesn't. I do wonder why this wasn't put out earlier. Because to me, the worst, again, I'll just repeat it for the record, for the folks in the back. I don't foresee any more awful scenario than Kavanaugh confirmed and then more women coming forward. That would be the ugliest scenario. That now we have to talk about, we have to blow the dust off how to repeal a fucking Supreme Court judge that just got put on the court. Oh, and also we're going to be doing it when Democrats have taken more control of Congress, and we're doing it in the nascent beginnings of a presidential race. That seems to me like an open fucking hellmouth. And if there are other women out there that are looking to come forward and say that Kavanaugh is a serial sexual predator, and not to say that he has to be a serial sexual predator for us to look at him poorly, but just if he is one, that is obviously a different thing. If you have a lot of women come out and say that there is a pattern of behavior, it is something that as humans, pattern recognizing creatures, we can recognize and understand more than just a simple, there was something like this and then they said this. Man, that's something that I think everybody would want to avoid, to be honest with you. Let's talk about something solvable, like North Korea. Just a real quick blip here. I'm going to keep this moving, but we have an email a little bit later in the show criticizing my take on Donald Trump's international diplomacy. There was a seeming breakthrough between Kim Jong-un and the leadership of South Korea this week. This is something that will bear well on Donald Trump's international diplomacy. Like it or not, whether or not he, in your mind, has done anything for the situation, this is one of those either you get credit or you don't. I've been doing, in all my research about the 50s and the 60s, this has been a problem since, the 50s and the 60s. Richard Nixon got elected to Senate talking about being tough on Korea. So that shows you how long, this has been a problem for as long as it has taken the issues of those local, of those days to become ancient enough for me to do a history podcast about them. Reverend Puck says he hasn't done anything lately, though. In fact, didn't he walk away from it? as far as I understand, there's always back channel negotiations, and there have been on and off public statements about it. Chimera 96 says, sidebar, Nixon wasn't a senator. Check your history, dog. Check your history. Senator from California before he was the vice president. Came to the wrong saloon. Wrong saloon for that one. It's literally what I've been talking about. All right. Let's talk about what you wanted to talk about. Come on. Let's get it going. Let's get it popping. Stormy Daniels. She's got a book out. It's coming out. She claims a lot of things, specifically the size and shape of Donald Trump's penis. She describes his pubes as Yeti-esque. She says that while she was having sex with the then apprentice host, now 45th President of the United States, that she was annoyed because she was getting pounded by somebody who has a penis shaped like the mushroom character from Mario Kart. I mean, man, what can you say? What more can I say? I gotta get that on the. I gotta get that on the board. Look, number one, what Mario Kart character would you prefer? All right, here we go. All right, I'll do it. Here we go. Welcome back. Stormy Daniels claiming in her new book that the President of the United States' penis bears a striking resemblance to Toad from Mario Kart. My question, ditto heads. Open phones Friday. What Mario Kart character would you prefer your partner's penis to look like? Yeah, I know. Snurdly, I know. Yes. I cannot, holding my unit in my formerly tobacco-stained hands, I am gazing upon it, and while I cannot immediately pick from the selection menu which Mario Kart character my dick looks like, I can say that my balls bear a resemblance to the Chain Chomp. We'll be right back. I mean, what do you want? What do you want? You mean like the penis is called a mushroom tip? King Boo, we're seeing Shy Guy. Do you have a penis that is only very aggressive when nobody's looking at it? I suggested in the in the Free Political newsletter that maybe you'd like the dexterity of a Yoshi. Maybe that would be good. Donkey Kong seems like a problematic solution. Look, have we gotten to the end of Stormy Daniels? I mean, look, we're going to find out whether or not Mueller's going to move forward with any of the Federal Elections Commission stuff. But I think this represents the end of the road of Stormy Daniels. Right? Is there any other questions? Do we have any other questions for Stormy Daniels? Did she fuck the president? Yes. Where did she fuck the president? In a hotel room in Lake Tahoe. Did he use a condom? No. What does his dick look like? Toad from Mario Kart. I have no... What other questions do we have? What, like, literally? Like, I'm out. I used to be a journalist. I went to J school. I'm as curious as a cat. That's why my mom nicknamed me Whiskers. I have no more questions for Stormy Daniels. Ninja Steve says, Toad at what height? She says, not overly not freakishly small, but not really large. But Donald Trump is not the first time that we've been fascinated by a president's penis. No. I point you to the Clinton fiasco, wherein Robert Bennett, Clinton's lawyer, in his case, in the Paula Jones case, described the president's penis that in terms of size, shape, direction, and whatever the devious mind wants to concoct, the president is a normal man. There are no blemishes, there are no moles, there are no growths. But the Independent offered a more detailed account about President Bill Clinton's penis, saying that his erect penis is about 5 inches long, has the circumference of a quarter, and heads off at an angle, presumably like a finger bent at the joint. So, there we go. Somebody can now be at least 2 hanging salamis in worth of presidential-shaped penises if you were to illustrate how many dicks we have descriptions of in a picture of an Italian grocer's window. Now that I've said that, I'm sure somebody is going to send that to me on Twitter. I'll tell you what. I'll bet you I know what got Donald Trump's toad all furiously angered with rage, and that is Ron DeSantis. Man, Ron DeSantis is running for governor in Florida. And when I tell you that man is fucking up, that man is fucking up. Let me walk you through Ron DeSantis a little bit. All right. This is Ron DeSantis. So he was running as a very pro-Trump Republican in Florida. He benefited from the president's Twitter and his unrestrained praise. I think Trump even came down and did a rally for him. But this was the ad that DeSantis released. Here we go. Let me just see. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this for the audio listeners. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this with all the whooshing sounds of DeSantis swinging from Trump's nuts. But go ahead and give this one a listen.
Knows my husband Ron DeSantis is endorsed by President Trump, but he's also an amazing dad. Ron loves playing with the kids.
Build the wall.
This is DeSantis now showing his child how to build a wall.
Reads stories
with baby building blocks.
Then Mr. Trump said, "You're fired." I love that part.
That was him reading his child Donald Trump's Art of the Deal.
Teaching Madison to talk.
Make America great again.
People say Ron's all Trump, but he is so much more.
Big league. So good.
I just thought you should know.
So there we go. DeSantis wins. And he flies on Trumpian wings. And you want to know what? Things were looking pretty good for Ron. He came out of the Republican primary. But then there was, this. He got sent to the poop buffet a couple weeks ago because this was his well, I'll tell you, I can't find the comment itself. He called his surprise opponent, who also came from an upset on the Democratic side of the Republican gubernatorial primaries, Andrew Gillum. That's it, mayor of Tallahassee, whom DeSantis said was very entertaining, a great performer, and that Floridians could not stand to elect him because it would, and I quote now, monkey up the progress that was made under the previous governor. So now he is, this is a problem with him and the Democrats, and he starts to run behind Gillum in the polls. But then Donald Trump comes out and says that the death toll in Puerto Rico was inflated by the Democrats to make them look bad, for which a lot of Republicans distance themselves from. But the ones that have to distance themselves the farthest are Florida Republicans, because there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Florida. In fact, there are more Puerto Ricans in Florida than there are anywhere but Puerto Rico. So, if you have an insurgent new demographic, that doesn't necessarily, they lean Democrat, but you have seen Republicans make inroads. Like, you can't piss off the Puerto Ricans. And so DeSantis backed away. And guess what? Now Trump's mad at him. Enough that aides go off the record to Politico and say, hey, guess who's at the shit list? Guess who's on Donald Trump's personal pass to the poop buffet? Ron DeSantis. That motherfucker is getting Eiffel Towered right now. From the left and the right, it's the only bipartisan thing that can be agreed upon, apparently, is fuck Ron DeSantis. That dude is going to lose. That dude is going to lose in Florida. I don't quite know if I'm ready to make a big guarantee on that yet. Speaking of political ads, this is something that I've gotten sent a lot, so I'm going to play it for you. I'm just telling you, if you're listening to this for the first time, there have been a lot of great political ads that we've been able to put into the free political newsletter. Now's the time to sign up for the free political newsletter. It's a good time. It's a good time. You got this the day it came out. If you were on the free political newsletter, this is for Dean Phillips for the 3rd District in Minnesota. Here we go.
I thought I was good at hiding.
For the audio listeners, the only person who will be talking during this ad is a very, 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 very well put together Bigfoot.
Then Eric Paulson comes along.
I mean, how can you have tens of thousands of people looking for you all the time and not one of them find you? I started to wonder, did Eric Paulson really exist? I mean, where's the proof? Some blurry photo taken from miles away? I had to know, so I had to come up with a plan. Paulson takes piles of money from Big Pharma and votes to erode essential healthcare protections. So, the most likely place to find him is at a big pharmaceutical company. And that's where I went. I was prepared to stay there for weeks. It took 7 minutes. I was so shocked when I saw him walking by, I almost dropped the camera, but I got it. Visual proof. So take it from me, Bigfoot. Eric Paulson really exists.
Ladies and gentlemen, will it do any good? Well, folks, there's only one way to find out, and that's by doing the only data science that we do on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and give you a Minnesota 3rd District
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance, 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 dance.
That booty.
This is a New York Times Siena poll taken from September 7th to September 9th with a sample of 500 likely voters. Coming up first to the stage, the man that only Bigfoot can find. Let's give a big round of applause for the Republican, Eric Paulson! But your headliner, the Democrat, and the friend of Sasquatch, the Democrat, Dude Phillips.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
That is 51% for Phillips, 42% for Paulson, 4.6 margin of error, and a 9-point spread in the favor of Phillips. What do you say we go ahead and get into but your emails? Folks, you can go ahead and send us an email whenever you goddamn well please, right here at theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. One last thing on these polls. These are house polls. There's not a lot of them taken. They're very data scientists that actually know what they're fucking talking about, aka not me, refer to as noisy. So don't take any of them necessarily too seriously. You're seeing this a lot with the Beto versus Cruz race down there in Texas, where there's like a Cruz +9 poll, and then the next day it's Beto +2, and that's a statewide race. It's even harder to do when you're in these smaller districts, and you don't have a lot of, this is where methodology and stuff like that comes into play. So you're always trying to look at an average, which is why sites like Upshot and 538 are really, really helpful because they're taking a lot of polls and trying to average them out and weight them against historical tendencies and stuff like that. So none of these are the gospel. Just understand that they are a very blurry look to the future. Think of it like that. Think of every poll you're looking at as, in Game of Thrones, like it is you seeing a vision in the flames. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But in general, it should give you a little hint as to where we're going. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com is where you can write in. Kyle in Green Bay says, I have received this in the mail. I thought it's pretty extreme, and but I think it would be appropriate for your audience. So let's go ahead and take a look at this mailer that was sent to Kyle in Green Bay here. This is against Tony Evers. He is running for governor. It says, Tony Evers failed to protect our children. Tony Evers failed. Our state superintendent clearly doesn't believe viewing pornography in school over a long period of time justifies license revocation. It has the following bullet points. One teacher viewed and shared pornographic images at school. A different teacher used Snapchat to ask her student to have sex in a storage closet. Another teacher was caught with his pants down in the classroom. Tony Evers had the power to revoke their teaching license, and he refused. So there we go. I love election season. Matt writes, I just ran across this shirt on Facebook. I feel like you might enjoy it, although it is a kind of creepy sexualization of this whole situation. So this is another, I'll tell you what, man, liberal Texas, they are wild for their Beto. This is in the spicy Whataburger. Remember there was that whole Beto stole the font of a Whataburger sauce. So this says in as if it's a packet of that sauce. What a babe, spicy Beto for Senate. Ingredients: sugar, spice, everything nice. Punk rock frontman turned silver fox. The man with the plan to turn Texas blue. Includes Medicare for all, tearing down walls, criminal justice reform, legalizing marijuana, and providing the health care our veterans have earned. Net weight 1 ounce. Man, if you ever needed a way to say that Beto is the Texas Trudeau, as in Justin Trudeau, people love him. I was down in Texas over the weekend. I had a Beto beer. It was all right. It's all right. Although it would be better if the Beto campaign made sure that with every Beto beer, you were also served a glass of Ted Cruz authentic trash water. It would have made the Beto beer, which is a fairly generic IPA, taste better. I feel like that would be a better solution. If you just had a choice, would you like to drink this trash water or would you like to drink the Beto beer? Here we go. We got an angry email. Remember, when you want me to read your email in an angry voice, just say that it's an angry email. Here we go. Wait, what? Where in the name of God do you get that Trump has been great with international politics? There's nothing to show this other than your theory. No way he's angling for Mideast peace. He's 100% full on for Israel with no flexibility. That boat sailed when he said he'd move the embassy to Jerusalem. He's already had Kim give it to him up the backside, and he's just been silent about how they keep making nukes and working on missiles. He has no credence, he has no standing, our allies despise him, and he's offended all of them. He's so so extreme with rhetoric and anti-Muslim, there's no way anyone would ever have any interest in talking to him or his administration. Point of fact, Donald Trump is working on a Mideast peace solution. That's why Jared Kushner has been involved with it pretty much since the beginning of him being installed in the White House. I believe that not only did Trump say he was going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, he did move the embassy to Jerusalem, which is probably, more to your point. But I think he has indicated, or it has been indicated, that now that Israel got a thing, that it's time for the Palestinians to get a thing. Donald Trump wants to make deals. He wants to make deals. There is no bigger deal in American politics than a Mideast peace solution. And he could jam it up the Clintons' butt because that is Bill Clinton's stated greatest regret. So I do think that he is looking for a Mideast peace solution. Whether or not he'll get it, who knows? I do think he's looking for it. As to, I don't know. I'm kind of uncomfortable with the sexual kind of overtones of Trump's sucking Putin's dick or he's getting butt fucked and stuff like that. I don't know. It just feels weird to me. So I'll skip over that. But look, the Korean peace stuff is the Korean peace stuff. If if North Korea is a less belligerent nation by the time that he leaves the White House, either in 2 years or 6 years, he will get credit for it being better under his watch. That's just how international diplomacy works. Scott from Hagerstown writes, as a follow-up to the email complaining about Fox News and your dead-on flip side Rush Limbaugh impression, I would like to propose something a bit different. The idea of 24-hour news was originally a means of monetizing the news divisions of these organizations, and it has ruined what actual news coverage should be forever. Instead of complaining that Fox does this or MSNBC does that, why not actively engage in getting the addicts on both these sides off the tit of the poison they are spewing? Everything is breaking news or live on the scene updates every 12 minutes, and they just repeat the same update for hours on end. There's more concern with filling airtime than there is actually gathering and presenting substantive facts and letting them stand. Use alternatives and encourage your friends and neighbors to do the same. They have degraded their own credibility, regardless of network, to the point where none of them are reliable, so stop watching and hopefully they will either die or go away. Sorry for the rant, but it had to be said. La cheeserie. Okay. I would go even further, Scott, and say that my problem was with television news in general. That's just the newspaper journalist in me. I kind of always have a bit of a hate boner for TV news. But allow me to do something I never thought that I would do before. I'm going to defend 24-hour news. 24-hour news is a very rich dessert. It has its place in your news diet. It's not going to kill you. It will only kill you if that's all you eat. So, look, check in on it every once in a while. Have it on in the background. But the second that you start taking it seriously is the moment that I think you wind up getting yourself into trouble. Unless you seriously want to talk about how great a MyPillow is. Use offer code MyPillow 8462583. And when you throw your gold into your MyPillow, cash will come out. Remember that diabetes and retirement is something that's very important. If you want to not burden your loved ones when you pass on, then get a Colonial MyPillow cash for gold. That's the only diabetes medication that's gold and also a pillow. If you have a diabetes pillow, exchange it for gold right now by going to offer code PILLOWDIABETES 456-892-4856. Hey, spend election night with me. San Francisco, Oakland, East Bay, North Bay, South Bay. bit.ly/WaveWatch. We're at the Piano Fight Theater again. Tickets will sell out for this one. So go get your tickets right now. We're going over all the best commercials, all the best storylines. We're going to have our own decision desk. It's going to be the bomb. Sign up for our free political newsletter at freepoliticalnewsletter.com. Email us, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up for us. Till next time, this is your old pal Justin Robert Young. Remember, some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. I saw one yesterday that actually talked about politics. But this is the only show that talks about all three. See you next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.